Hello everyone, today we will tackle about sobre la indolencia de los Filipinos. It means, more popularly known in its English version, The Indolence of Filipinos, is an exploratory essay written by Philippine national hero Dr. Jose Rizal to explain the alleged idleness of his people during the Spanish colonization. As a response to the accusation of Indio or Malay indolence, he admits the existence of indolence among the Filipinos, but it could be attributed to a number of reasons. He traces its causes to factors such as the climate and social disorders. He defends the Filipinos by saying that they are by nature not indolent, because in fact, even before the arrival of Spaniards, Filipinos have been engaged in economic activities such as agriculture and trade. Indolence therefore has more deeply rooted causes such as abuse and discrimination. The indolence of the Filipinos is a study of the causes why the people did not, as was said, work hard during the Spanish regime. Rizal pointed out that long before the coming of the Spaniards, the Filipinos were industrious and hard-working. The Spanish reign brought about decline in economic activities because of certain causes. First is the establishment of the galleon trade cut off all previous associations of the Philippines with other countries in Asia and the Middle East. As a result, business was only conducted with Spain through Mexico. Because of this, the small business and handicraft industries that flourished during the pre-Spanish period disappeared. Second is Spain also extinguished the natives' love of work because of the implementation of forced labor. Because of the wars between Spain and the other countries in Europe, as well as the Muslims in Mindanao, the Filipinos were compelled to work in shipyards, roads, and other public works, abandoning agriculture, industry, and commerce. Third, Spain did not protect the people against foreign invaders and pirates. With no arms to defend themselves, the natives were killed, their houses burned, and their lands destroyed. As a result of this, the Filipinos were forced to become nomads, lost interest in cultivating their lands or in rebuilding the industries that were shut down, and simply became submissive to the mercy of God. Fourth, there was Croc's system of education, if it was to be considered an education. What was being taught in the schools were repetitive prayers and other things that could not be used by the students to lead the country to progress. There were no courses in agriculture, industry, etc., which were badly needed by the Philippines during those times. Fifth, the Spanish rulers were a bad example to despise manual labor. The officials reported to work at noon and left early, all the while doing nothing in line with their duties. Sixth, gambling was established and widely propagated during those times. Almost every day there were cockfights, and during feast days, the government officials and friars were the first to engage in all sorts of bets and gambles. Seventh, there was crooked systems of religion. The friars taught the native Filipinos that it was easier for a poor man to enter heaven, and so they preferred not to work and remain poor, so that they could easily enter heaven after they died. Rizal wrote the essay in Spanish. Unfortunately, we were never taught Spanish during the 350 years of Spanish colonization. Aside from mouthing the rote prayers and hymns that we and past generations did not understand. La Indolencia de los Filipinos, the essay itself, originally appeared in the Filipino Fortnightly Review, Solidaridad of Madrid in 5 installments running from July 15 to September 15, 1890. It was a continuation of Rizal's campaign of education, in which he sought by blunt truths to awaken his countrymen to their own faults at the same time that he was arousing the Spaniards to the defects in Spain's colonial system that caused and continued such shortcomings. Rizal carefully examined the facts leading to the false show more content. Rizal refused to believe that the Filipinos have always been regarded as indolent. He depicted the Philippines prior the arrival of the Spaniards, in which active trade with neighboring countries and from distant lands, commerce and agriculture were prominent in the country. Rizal also emphasized the role of the Spanish role in the intensification the indolence of the Filipinos. Rizal also emphasized the role of the Spanish role in the intensification of the indolence of the Filipinos. So, it is an excellent essay which we native Filipinos, I guessed, with almost absolute certainty, have not been read by the majority of the citizenry. Then and now, it should be a mass spread for each native Filipino student. But if Spanish is your language, here it is. Enjoy, learn, and understand the genius of our native hero Dr. Jose P. Rizal and truths he wrote about. In addition, the government monopolizes business in its greed to earn the profit folly to him. Furthermore, false teaching are impressed upon the minds of the Filipinos which greatly affected their perspective in life. Filipinos now long to be poor to assure themselves of a place in heaven. Filipinos are thought to rely a great deal to win some of money through trances. It is for this reason that Rizal considered the significance of education of a native. Had the Filipinos exercised reason and logic in their decisions and refused to be controlled by whatever Spanish rulers and friars demand from them, the Filipinos would have been living in a rational society. Some Filipinos hide in the forests and mountains and abandoned their farmlands because of fear. Still, they struggled a long time against indolence. Yes, but their enemies were so numerous that at last they gave up. As Rizal stated in conclusion, a man in the Philippines is an individual. He is not merely a citizen of a country. It can clearly be deduced from the writing that the cause of the indolence attributed to a race is Spain. When the Filipinos tried to cultivate their lands and established various industries, they were made to pay enormous taxes and were exploited by the foreign rulers. It is not only the Philippines, but also other countries that may be called indolent, depending on the criteria upon which such a label is based. Man cannot work without resting, and if in doing so he is considered lazy, we could say that all men are indolent. One cannot blame a country that was deprived of its dignity to have lost its will to continue building its foundation upon the backs of its people, especially when the fruits of their labor do not so much as reach their lips. When we spend our entire lives worshipping such a cruel and inhumane society, forced upon us by aliens who do not even know our motherland, we are destined to tire after a while. We are not fools, we are not puppets who simply do as we are commanded. We are human beings who are motivated by our will towards the accomplishment of our objectives, and who strive for the preservation of our race when this fundamental aspect of our existence is dependent of us. Rizal also believed that every Filipino should have a sense of nationalism in his heart, and also this saying that a man in the Philippines is only an individual, he is not a member of a nation. Education and liberty is the key to solve this issue. And liberty is the key to solve this issue.